Hello, it's Davy Mooney coming to you from UNT, where I run the jazz guitar program. I'm a Benedetto artist, Sunnyside Records artist, and in about a week I'm going to mix and master the new Sunnyside record. Got 2 Mel Bay books, Personalizing Jazz Vocabulary, and the brand new Into the Labyrinth, an Anatomy of Position Playing for Jazz Guitar. And we're mid-semester here at UNT. It's early October. And I've been thinking about this tune, It's All Right With Me, Cole Porter song. And I've done a few videos on long-form Cole Porter tunes, just one of those things from this moment on, tunes where the A section, they're kind of AABA tunes, but the sections are twice as long for the most part. There's variations. Sometimes there's a little tag at the end, like in From This Moment On, and this song, It's All Right With Me. Some other ones are like So in Love, I Concentrate on You. And this tune, I have some history with it, not too much, although I have recent history with it. I was at the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival maybe about a month ago, a few weeks ago. And the first thing I did when I got in, and my guitar in the flight case, went to the Benedetto after hours sort of jam session. And Howard Paul asked me to play with Howard Alden, which is a great honor to me. I've been a huge fan of his for years. I remember him coming to UNT when I was a student, and also to UNO when I was a student. And he gave me some cool, like, Duke Ellington transcription of Single Petal of a Rose, all kinds of stuff, and 7-string Solidarity, of course. So anyway, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to play with Howard. And I know that Howard Alden knows every song ever written. So I was thinking, man, he's going to call something I don't know. And I get up there and he's like, how about It's All Right With Me? And I was like, because I've worked on that song with students, I know that song. It just had been, as happens with all of us, I'm sure, there's a song that especially as I get older, songs that I've learned as an adult don't stick in my head the way songs that I learned when I was like a teenager do. So certain things I'll never forget. They're in the long-term memory. But anyway, so suffice it to say, I did not want to try to fake my way through It's All Right With Me in front of, jazz guitar royalty. So we played Days of Wine and Roses. But like a good, jazz musician, student, eternal student, educator, I was like, I got to relearn that song. And I started looking, and I saw a lot of people playing it in the sort of, straight ahead jazz guitar, current generation. There's a lot of great versions. And so I went back and, tried to refresh my memory, and there's a few versions that I really, really like. I mean, there's a million great ones. It's been recorded a bunch of times, but particularly Oscar Peterson in the 50s plays the Cole Porter songbook, just for like a real shredding straight ahead version, with the trio. Brad Meldau, Art of the Trio 2, the live one, with Jorge Rossi and Larry Grenadier, just shredding ridiculousness, everything, just, one of those, that trio was, I think, for my generation particularly, the bar was raised to such a high. I remember first hearing that trio on certain things and thinking like, wow, no one will ever do this again. Like, this is just metrically and technique-wise and musicality. And now I almost feel like it's kind of that's the standard we all have to kind of start with on the top level. But anyway, I digress a little bit. But that's a beautiful version. And man, I love the scene in the movie Can with Frank Sinatra and Juliette Prowse, where he sings the song to her. It's so great, y'all. You gotta check it out. It's on YouTube. She has this amazing hat. I've never seen a hat like this. Like, they don't make hats like that anymore. And he's singing, he's the bartender, and he lights a cigarette between the second A and the bridge, and I mean, I'm sure he's not singing live, but manages to inhale to sing the bridge and get the smoke, and then blow, exhale, singing into her face the cigarette smoke to sing the bridge to her. Anyway, it's amazing. So to talk about it a little bit, I mean, the A sections aren't really that difficult. And so Meldau and Oscar Peterson play it in like D minor, F major. Sinatra is in A minor, C major. So I'll go with the F major D minor key. So basically, da, 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 D minor, da, 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 da. So basically, D minor for 4 bars, and then D minor for 2 more bars, and then G minor for 2 bars. And it's very similar to the song "Alone Together," the Arthur Schwartz tune. You know, like "Alone together, beyond the crowd, beyond the world," to G minor. It gets to the same place, although it's all right with me. Very sort of consciously doesn't do a D7 before the G minor. And when you're soloing on it, I mean, obviously you can imply, and then apply D7 kind of sound before the G minor, but it's kind of nice how the melody goes, because and you can kind of do the James Bond descending thing. See, that melody right before the G minor has the minor third, natural perfect fourth, so it kind of saying don't play a dominant here. But like I said, in the heat of battle, when you're blowing on it, you can put a D7 in there, of course, if you want, and then to G minor for 2 bars. And here's our first moment of what is the right chord to play after the G minor. So, in keeping with our Alone Together vibe, Meldau plays the A flat diminished that you would have in Alone Together, right there, right? That sometimes gets turned into a B minor to E7, but whereas Oscar Peterson and Sinatra, whoever was writing the string arrangement, goes to a C7, like 5 of F. So that's pretty different in terms of what you're going to play over. It's diminished that have different functions. So D minor, maybe a little G7, G minor, C7, or A flat diminished. Like I said, I didn't listen to every single version or go back to whatever the published original sheet music was, but I guess I kind of feel like if it's in the movie, Cole Porter was still kicking, right? 1960. I think C7 is probably the original chord, but why not play an A flat diminished? Give it a little Alone Together vibe. But anyway, C7, and then sorry, what key are we in? A minor 7 flat 5, D7, G7, then get back to D minor. So after the C7, you go down to, we're in the key of F, like a 3, 6, 2 dominant, maybe G minor, or maybe right from that G7 to E minor 7 flat 5, A7, because you do want to get back to D minor for the second. It's a wrong game. Maybe G7, D minor, maybe sticking a D7 if you want, although it doesn't fit with the melody. G minor. It's not us. C7 or A flat diminished, A minor 7 flat 5 E7, and the second A you could just do a 2-5 to F, or you could do a dominant 2-5 to F. So that's the A section. Like I said, not the most bizarre harmony. Pretty standard. Minor key, go to the minor 4, turn around 3-6 2-5. So then the bridge gave me some trouble, because as I say to my students sometimes when we play these tunes that were written for shows or for movies, or really they're pop songs, they weren't written for you to play your jazz guitar solos over, although they work great in that context. But this one, the bridge, is goes to diminished land, and I'll tell you the chord. So again, there's some variation. I think a lot of people will play, if we're in the key of F, they'll play the first chord of the bridge as an F dominant. Although I've also heard that chord be an F7 flat 9. I think Meldau might do that. But I've heard this too. And then it goes to like an F diminished. And then like B flat diminished. To F major 7. So like F F dominant 7 or maybe F7 flat 9 to a F diminished. It's all kind of over an F pedal, and then like a B flat diminished, that family of diminished, G diminished, and then back to the D minor. So what to do over that? My goodness. Get your diminished patterns ready, right? No. I mean, you could do that. There's some great diminished patterns out there. I sort of made a lifestyle choice at some point to try to, when diminished chords occur in the harmony, I try to face them and try to integrate them into the language that I'm playing, because diminished chords have a dominant function. So to a certain extent, you should be able to play dominant type harmony over diminished chords, although they're tricky and they fool you and they throw you for a loop, and sometimes you end up on a note that you think is going to be right and it's the worst note in the world. So well, let's talk about it. One strategy. So let's say that first chord is an F7. Okay, we can deal with that, right? F dominant. If you want to put a flat 9 on it, fine, but often, also this tune is played pretty fast, so you can get away with more than, although Sinatra, it's a ballad. But so we got F7, okay, and then F diminished. What? Well, to me, I kind of hear that as like a dominant 2 chord with a flat 9. And if we look at the melody, we've got, you could see in some universe where that's like a kind of a Green Dolphin Street type progression where you have, F dominant. I mean, we skip it's not F minor like Green Dolphin Street would be, but then kind of G over F. And then the next chord's almost like G flat over F. Although there's other notes in there, right? That doesn't quite do it. If you try to treat it like Green Dolphin Street, you probably end up with, I don't know, maybe it would work out, but I feel like we need that flat 9 in there. So the second chord you could think of as G7 flat 9. Sorry. And it's funny because F dominant to F diminished, and because on a lot of these videos I talk about the 1 diminished chord as being 5 of 3, and in many cases that's true. I think that's accurate. You can go back and watch all my videos and see where I talk about that in different songs. But in this case, I think it's definitely like a dominant 2 chord, like a 2. So I might play. Kind of treat it like a G7, but almost like a bluesy G7. But if you want to get real esoteric, it's kind of if you want to do another type of scale, you could think of like C harmonic major. That would cover all the notes. But when I'm listening to Oscar Peterson and Meldau and these type of cats playing over it, I don't know, I feel like they're just playing over G7. Even like G7 bebop, and then the third chord is definitely like a 5-1. So it's kind of like 1 dominant, 2 dominant, 5, 1. And this in the simplest way to think about it. So. All that against that pedal, F7 pedal. And I heard Meldau go like F7 flat 9, and then the diminish, and then on the third chord he kind of played like minor 7 flat 5, almost like a G minor 7 flat 5, or a B flat minor 6 over F, instead of like a 5 diminished chord. So and Peterson, he's just shredding through it. It sounds great. Ray Brown's like, I can't play like Oscar Peterson, so I'm not even going to try. But I found, through trial and error, playing over the track, trying to figure out what the right treatment of that harmony is. For me, I'm playing like F dominant, some G7 bluesiness, and maybe I'll go some kind of diminished thing over the G7. Not totally, I guess it's half whole diminished too, although you think about the melody of that part has a C natural in it, which you wouldn't have in the half whole diminished scale, right? They call it G half whole diminished. You'd have a C sharp, so the C in there kind of makes it more bluesy. Right, and having an A flat, it's almost like F7 blues. And then, you know, for that third chord, again, B flat diminished over F, I'm thinking like C7. So that's where I'm at right now with that harmony. Sometimes I do these videos and then like a month later I'll be like, wait a second, they're not playing that chord, they're playing this other chord, and then I can't go back and change the video. That happened to me on Flowers of Love Something. I tried to go back and comment and say, no, I had it wrong. It's actually Strayhorn's playing this and Joe Henderson's playing that. Sometimes my students help me out too. They're like, are you sure that's what that chord is? But so that's what I'm going with right now. F dominant, kind of G7 bluesy, C7, F major, major 7, F dominant, G7 bluesy, C7, and back to the, for the last day, same thing. Maybe D7, G minor, C7, or if you want to be like mellowed out, A flat diminished, 3, 6, and there's a little tag, G7, G minor, C7, and then one of these, go into the 4, sharp 4 diminished, 2, 5, 1, back to F, and then off to the races. So I'm going to play a little bit on the tune, try to play the right stuff over that bridge, and yeah, y'all, I encourage you to check out all of Cole Porter's music. He's maybe like my favorite writer of standards from the Tin Pan Alley. I mean, the competition is pretty fierce, but he's definitely in the top 5. So check out his tunes, his long form tunes in particular. All right.